Hello, Becca Armstrong here, and I want to welcome you to an empowered week of success in your life and in your business. Now, what I'm going to be sharing with you here today in our live session are resources that really help you to stop trying so hard. I mean, seriously, we're going to let you off the hook. You get to stop trying so hard to achieve your goals, to achieve your success. And I'm going to help you get on the path, what's going to probably feel like, I don't know if it's going to feel like the easier path, but it's going to be the simpler path. And it's also the fastest path to your results. Everything that I'm going to be sharing with you today, I've been teaching and practicing myself and then coaching clients for over 17 years with. So I know that these things are tested, they're tried, they're true. I know that they have worked for me, they have worked for my clients, and I know that with application, and if you actually put them into practice, they will work for you. So let's get started. First of all, we've got to apply what I'm going to teach to something that matters to and for you. So I want you to think about your goals for 2017. What is it that you want and desire in your life? What is it that you want? What is it that you need? What is it that you feel is a must-have? And when you think about it, if you can write it down on a piece of paper, fantastic. Just write it down. And I want to simplify things here. I know a lot of clients will write things and they'll write them in a certain way. I don't want you to effort with this. I just want you to write it down. And as an example, let's say you want to have $10,000 more in your bank account every month. So you want to increase your financial income by $10,000 a month. So I just want you to write that down. You know, increase my financial income by $10,000 a month. Now, for some of you, you might say, oh my gosh, I'm not writing it down as though it's already happened. True. That's true. Because here's what happens. If you write something down in your thought process as though it's already happened, you're affirming it. You're affirming it. Now, there's something that I want to teach you, and we'll probably set this for later in the week. But when you write an affirmation down, like, you know, I am so happy and grateful now that I have $10,000 increase in my income every month, and you write that down, at a subconscious level, if you do not have $10,000 increased, income that's flowing into your bank account, and if you haven't had that before, what's going to happen is you're going to bring an instant pushback. You're going to get an instant pushback at a subconscious level. Now, all of your habits and patterns, your emotions, your experiences, the seat of everything that's automated, everything that you do that you don't have to think about, it's all seated in your subconscious. So when you write that affirmation down and you don't do some of the other things that you can do with it to actually make it effective for you, what you're actually increasing is your belief that you don't have it. It's something that I see all the time with the law of attraction, is that if you affirm something that isn't true, you're affirming a lie, and you're increasing the gap between you and whatever it is that you've affirmed is not in your life. It's a backward slingshot aspect to our affirmations. Now, it doesn't mean that affirmations are not amazing and cannot be very powerful for you. But there's some more to do with it. So let's set that aside, and we'll do a live stream later on in this week where I'm going to teach you about working with affirmations in a way that you can actually shift blocks. You can actually create belief systems that are aligned with what you want and desire, and you don't have to actually reinforce the absence. You can reinforce and align with the presence of something using the process of affirmations. But right here, right now, I want to make it simple for you. So I want to invite you, just write it down as a bullet point. Increased income, $10,000 a month. That's the goal, let's say, for 2017. Now I want you to write down whatever your goal is. I'm just giving you an example. And you might have a financial goal. You might have a career goal. You might have a business goal. You might have a personal relationship goal. You might have a health goal. You might have a growth and expansion education goal. Maybe you want to be trained or certified or licensed in something. So whatever your goal is, go ahead and write it down. And if you don't have something to write with, that's okay. That is okay. Just imagine it. Now, the next resource I want to give you is that when you imagine your goal from here on out, I want to empower you with a creative faculty. And really, it's not really a creative faculty. More accurately, it's a manifestation faculty. By manifestation, I mean bringing something from an idea to a physical reality in your life where you can reach out and you can touch it. I believe that that's what you are designed to do with your goals. Otherwise, you wouldn't want them, right? So when you imagine your goal, allow yourself to connect with it. And when you bring up the visualization of it, imagine that you're living it. What we have found with research, there's a lot of research being done in medicine, mindfulness in medicine, physical therapy, is that when somebody practices visualization or imagery work, most of us initially start by observing ourselves. So we see on the screen of our mind, we imagine watching ourselves have this experience. So if you want to manifest a new car, you're likely to imagine seeing yourself drive this car. Well, what we know is that in regards to law of attraction, universal laws and principles, and your physiological response to it, when you watch yourself drive a car, it's equivalent to you watching someone else drive the car. Now, if you have a belief that you can't, or you don't, or you haven't, or you won't drive that car, that visualization will reinforce the absence of the car in your life. Oh, I know it's a bummer, right? So what do you do instead? What you do instead is imagine being the person driving the car. So it isn't something that you're going to observe out there. It's something that you're going to observe being the person. So if you're driving a car, you're not going to see yourself, but you might see your eyes in the rearview mirror. You might see your hands and you might see them on the steering wheel. You might see the hood of the car. You might see out the rearview window. You might see the console and the seat next to you. That's being the person driving the car. Now, if you're going to be the person driving the car, I want you to ask yourself, how do I know it's my car? How do I know it's my car? What would I be doing if it was my car? Now, you might imagine yourself pulling into your parking space, pulling into your garage. You know, this is you being the person driving the car. Yeah, how exciting. So this is an imaginary faculty. Your imagination is a faculty of manifestation. And when you connect with what you want and desire, be the person who's driving the car. Now, the thought process, our mental mind, tends to go right to, well, how did I get the car? And what I want to empower you with is let that go right now. Let that go. Because here's the thing, every experience you have comes in and you have to have cells of recognition in your brain. You have to have neural networks and highways to move the information around. Well, if you haven't had this experience yet, you don't have those highways and the ways to process the information. So if you try to think about, how do I get this? How? You're going to have to go to the highways and the neural networks and the cells of recognition you have. Well, they haven't produced this result. So it's like driving on a road that you've been on that takes you to a particular destination, trying to get to a new destination. That's crazy, right? You can't drive on a road that takes you somewhere else to get to where you want to go if you've never been there before. You got to build that highway. You got to build that road. And you got to build that system within you. So right now, I want you to let go of the how. Because what happens when you're in the first person in your motor imagery and you're being the person living the experience, you start to build the neural networks. You start to build the cells of recognition. When you're out in the world, what you may not recognize, and you can look it up, I want you to do some research on the reticular activating system, RAS system for short, RAS. And this is a part of your brain that is actually filtering out information. And it's saying, and it's labeling details in your field, in your environment, important and unimportant, important and unimportant. And if it's unimportant, filters it out. Now, what's unimportant? Anything you haven't experienced yet. Well, isn't that amazing? If you think about your last month, think about each day. Each day probably looked very similar to the previous day. Well, yes, it's because we run our days in an automatic fashion based on what is structured in our subconscious. And what's structured in our subconscious was actually structured there. It was recorded there. It was programmed there when we were between the ages of 0 and 7. Sometimes 0 to 10, but it's pretty solid by the time we're 7. And it doesn't mean that these programs are the best. It just means that it's a way that you learn to do life based on how others around you were doing life. So, with this, when you think about what you want and desire, we've got to open you up and get some new highways building. So when you imagine what it is that you want and desire, imagine it in the first person, be the person who's living that. Now, my clients often will say, okay, but I know on some level I'm not driving the car. Like, I know that car is not in my driveway. It's not in my garage yet. True. So here's the thing. When you're being the person, driving the car, or whatever it is, living the result, living your goal, living it as though it has occurred, what I want you to pay attention to is the person who has the car. Let's imagine it's a car. If you're the person who has manifested and is living the result of the car, like you have the car, or you have the increased income, or you have the relationship, you're not walking around wanting it. You're not walking around focused on it. You're now focused on other things. So if you want the car, you're no longer focused on getting the car and how much you love this car. You're focused on, where are you driving to? What are you doing? Are you going skiing? Are you going to the mountains? Are you going to the beach? What are you doing in the car? Are you loading it full of your friends and family and you're having this wonderful experience? Where is this car taking you? Because it isn't about the car. It's about how you feel. It's about something that this car connects you with and feeling. Maybe it's an increase in your income. Are you feeling peaceful? Are you feeling relaxed? Are you feeling relieved? How are you feeling? Because it isn't about the increase of income. People who have that increase of income, they're not focused on increasing, or they're not focused on the income. They don't care anymore. But it doesn't mean that they don't care. Their energy is focused on something else. It's a feeling they have. Maybe they're able to be generous with those that they love and, buy them some things that matter. Maybe they're able to give a gift. Maybe they're able to make donations. Maybe they're able to take Fridays off and no longer work on Fridays. I mean, what is it that comes out of this result? What comes in the way that it feels for you? And what I want to empower you with is stop trying so hard to figure out how and working so hard. Because here's when you're working hard and you're focused and you're pushing through, what it means is that you're likely engaged in some resistance and slowing things down. Now, it doesn't mean to stop taking action. Action is awesome. Listen, if I'm going to write something down with a pen, I'm going to put effort into it. There's going to be effort, which is the focused, intentional application of my energy through my body in my behavior. So effort is awesome. But what I'm talking about is stop trying to accomplish something. What I want you to do is engage it as though it already is. Engage it. So I've studied a lot, like the most successful people on the planet, and here's one of the things that they all have in common. They don't think too much about what they're going to do. They think about what they desire. They notice that it feels harmonious for them. They notice that they like it and they want it, and it's all good. And then they just do it. And they don't leverage or place expectation on how they feel in the process. They don't place expectation on how well their actions turn out. They just go, yeah, this is what I want. I'm going to take action with it, and I'm going to keep going until it is. And if this one doesn't work out, no big deal. I'm going to do this. And if that doesn't work out, no big deal. I'm going to do this. And we're just going to keep going with it, and we're going to just keep moving. And my identity, their identity, is not placed in how well that action turns out. They're just in motion. They've got their energy in motion with it. And they're just where they are, applying what it is and engaging what is. You know, they're in the now, focused on and totally aligned with what it is that they want. Now, sometimes things just really fail, and they fail big time. But that failure isn't real. It's feedback. And when you don't base your identity in something and how well it works out, and you don't consider it the only thing, and you don't have to push through when everything is pushing against you and it's really not feeling right, it allows you to respond to life. And when we respond, we're engaging our action and our energy from now. Everything you want is available now. And when you bring yourself fully to this moment and you engage what is in this moment in harmony with what it is that you desire, and you know it's there and it's happening, and you don't know whether this action is going to turn out and bring it forward, or it's something else, or someone else is going to bring it, but you're open to everything, you're engaged in the flow of it, you're going to notice it feels peaceful. It feels easy. Now, sometimes when you're going from a known pattern to an unknown pattern, it can feel like you don't even know who you are. I want to invite you right here, right now, to let go of all judgments of that. Let go of having to be you producing this result. Just be and allow it to come through you. Now, that's very different. And I must confess, I am someone that, when I'm creating something new, and like there was this pattern for me where I was like, "Ee!" And I recognized that intensity was because I was holding on so tight to how it had to be versus just turning it over and letting go. Sometimes letting go and jumping into the action and saying, you know what, I don't know exactly how this is going to turn out. I just know that it feels harmonious with what I want and desire, and I'm willing to show up to it. I'm willing to show up to it. And hey, it'll either lead me to the result or to the next beautiful action. So these actions that I'm speaking about, they're not random. They don't come from, some spontaneous place. They're really aligned with what you want and desire, because on the internal state of being, where you are within who you are, you're aligned with your result. Hey, you know what? I've decided to increase my income $10,000 a month this year, or I've decided to buy the new BMW, or I've decided to buy that house in the mountains, or I've decided to work 6 months out of the year and then travel the other 6 months. Whatever it is that you want and desire, I've decided to take Fridays off. Whatever it is that you want and desire, when you imagine being the person who has that result, and you allow yourself to say, okay, so if I am this person that has this result, how do I feel? Well, I feel peaceful. I feel relaxed. I feel gratitude. I feel appreciation. I feel generous. I want you to be mindful in every moment to look for those feelings. Look for those feelings and engage them. Engage them. Now, you might experience the exact opposite. The exact opposite. So let's say you want peace and all you're feeling is agitation. You can look at that agitation and you can be present with it, and you can say, okay, what is it that I am so feeling agitated with? Where am I giving my energy to? And let's say, it pops up, oh, what if this doesn't work out very well? And ask yourself, is that thought really true? Is that thought really true? You're going to say, no. I don't know how this is going to turn out. And the truth is, if it doesn't turn out really well, then I can always do something else. Okay. Now, how does that feel? Did it move from agitation into more peace and relaxation? Did it move from a point of resistance to feeling strength? Did you move from fear to maybe courage, maybe excitement? So what I'm talking about here is no longer resisting your emotional state and trying to think positive. Stop that. It's some type of mythology that feeling bad is somehow a block or isn't okay. Sometimes we begin in feeling bad. We begin in resistance. We begin in struggle. Well, if you're feeling struggle, okay, well, what is that? Where am I focusing my attention, my energy? Well, this is hard. Okay, is it hard? Is that true? Well, no, it's just I want it now. Okay, well, if I want it now, where am I focusing my energy? Oh, on the absence of it. Okay, well, I guess then I am attracting very, very well. I'm attracting the opposite, the absence. Okay, well, if I'm that powerful to attract the absence of something, and I've just discovered I'm actually attracting the absence, then what could I give my energy to that would allow me to focus on and attract the presence of something? And you'd be surprised at how all of a sudden the action, the connections, the relationships, all of the resources you need start to show up and you become aware of them. It's not that they weren't there before, it's just that you were filtering them out because they were out of alignment with where you were actually directing your energy. See, most of us don't realize that we're powerful attractors, and where we are focusing our energy is actually what's manifesting in our life. Our life is like a mirror showing us where we've been giving our energy. So I'm going to invite you just to do a playful exercise over the next 24 hours and see what your environment is showing you. And I want you to do this exercise free of all judgment. Those that are thinking into results facilitators will recognize this lesson as the environment is but your looking glass. It's one that we teach and coach within thinking into results. So with that, allow your environment to show you and just give you feedback. It doesn't mean that it has to stay. And with your awareness, that's the first point of change. And from that, if you are engaged in sales, if you are engaged in enrollment, if you're engaged in building your business or your career or a new relationship, notice the feedback that others are giving you. Does it feel like you're connecting with them? Or does it feel like there's some type of pushback that you're having with them or some type of struggle or conflict? And I want to invite you in the next 24 hours just to be curious. Like maybe with a previous sales conversation. Maybe it just didn't go very well. And you thought, I need these sales. I have this goal of increasing my income. And it just didn't feel like it was aligned at all. Maybe it just felt terrible, clunky, like you were helping them to say no. And I want you to focus on, okay, well, what was it, that I felt in that experience? Well, okay, well, where am I giving my energy to? It makes me think and feel about that. And then ask yourself, is that true? It felt like, I was trying to give them a pitch and they were pushing back. Okay, well, where was I giving my energy? I was actually working with an entrepreneur not too long ago, and they said, well, I was giving my energy to saying the right things. And the more I tried to say the right things, they think I was saying all the wrong things. Well, if you're in your head and you're thinking about saying the wrong thing, then you must, on some level, maybe have a fear around saying the wrong thing. Where are you giving your energy to? Saying the wrong thing. What does that do? That disconnects you from the collaboration with the person whom you're talking with. And so that means that you're applying your agenda to that person. And it means you're trying to say the right thing, which means that you're definitely aligning with the wrong thing and you're not listening to them. And sales is a collaborative process. It's a helping process. And it's a generating yes kind of process. I mean, it's wonderful. It's where somebody says, yes, please help me. And so just notice, where was I giving my energy? Where was I focusing on? What was I hoping to avoid? What was I really trying to accomplish? Which means that I feared the absence of it. And then just be aware. That's all I want you to do. Be curious, discover, and then let's connect tomorrow. We'll do another Facebook Live, and we'll take this further. And then later in the week, we'll talk about affirmations and really how to work with your goal in a way that brings you into alignment. And if you are engaged in the sales process and you're receiving a pushback, I actually have a really awesome pioneer program that I've just released. I usually bring it and work with people live, but I've actually brought it online. And it's a fun program. And it's how to have conversations with people that convert. Conversations to help people where people say, yes, thank you, please help me. And I've priced it with my favorite number right now, just because it felt good. It's usually a $500 program. You can get it right now for $17. So it's called Conversations That Convert. You can find it at my website, BeccaArmstrong.com. And since I mentioned sales conversation, I figured I'd offer you a resource too. But separate from that, come back tomorrow and we'll talk about how to take this further. All right, have a beautiful rest of your day. If you have any questions, you can reach us directly at hello@BeccaArmstrong.com. And what I'm teaching here this week in this series really is for you. I want to help you. So reach out to me and let me know, where do you feel gaps? Where are you struggling? Where you have questions? And I don't say this without meaning. I really mean this very intentionally. Reach out to us, let us know. Let us know what's working. Let us know what's not working. And then we're going to direct these live sessions to really empowering and teaching you and helping you release the struggle and start thriving in these areas. Why? Because it's what you're designed to do. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye for now.